Okay, as promised, we're going to do a Q&A tonight because the boss man, which is what you don't know this, but that's what I refer to you as on Instagram.
Boss hog.
No, you're not boss hog. There can only be one of those. But boss man is here and he's agreed to do our Q&A. So I have our questions. Do you want me to read them or do you want to pick the ones that you want to answer? There's only 10. I mean, we're going to answer them all, but there's only 10.
We're going to answer them all?
Yeah. Well, some of them are easy. Some of them are not. Some of them are more for you.
Oh. Well, I'll do this one because it's easy. Timeline to move in. We want to move in on May 20th of next year.
That's his birthday.
7 months?
7 months.
7 months and some change.
That's doable.
We'll find out.
I hope.
We'll see. But you have to set a date or you'll just be going on this endless checklist that'll never stop.
Okay, well, I'll...
Because at what point do you say, we're ready to move in, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Start,
Okay, well, we'll start from the beginning.
Start with question one.
Well, no. I was just going to start with how did we know this was the right property for us?
Well, as far as being easy to build a house on, it was flat, which was good. I always wanted to be... I wanted the house to be up on a hill, and I wanted it to be on a hilly property, but what can be just as good as a hilly property is a flat property where your house is just a little bit higher than the rest of it for runoff. Plus...
Well, that's the good part about it, but, like, how did you know? Like, for me, I walked onto the property, and we had seen 3 or 4 properties.
Yeah,
within, like, I think a 48-hour period. We just drove around. His parents are realtors, so if you need one, we can hook you up. And so we drove around with them looking at several properties, all land, because at this point we knew buying a house on land was not the direction that we were going to go. So we saw several. We found a wooded lot that we really, really liked, but for the cost, it was going to be way too much for us to justify how much we were going to have to. I mean, we would have gone under.
We were pretty much going to have to take the entire property and haul in a bunch of clay to build it up because it was just so... And then... It was a swamp.
Yeah, and then... Really there was a swamp. There was a wooded lot and then a swamp. They were on the same road. And then we saw...
That was kind of a swamp too, though.
There's like a parcel, like a farm was selling a piece of their land.
That was pretty.
And it was really pretty, but it was
hilly.
Marked really high. And it was very far out of our budget. It had some positives because it was hilly and it was already swaled.
Yeah.
Which would have been really nice for drainage on the property. But I will say, I walked onto this property. We had Macy with us. And that was March. So I was...
Pretty pregnant.
7 months pregnant. I walked back onto the property and I just had a really overwhelming sense of, like, peace. And just really felt like this is where I'm going to raise my babies. And so we are believers. And for me, it was just kind of God's way of saying, this is going to be your new home.
Yeah, and we wanted a lot of land. Cool thing about this is it's only 6 acres. I grew up on 14 acres, but a lot like that was the surrounding property is, I'd say, about 100 acres or so of just field, cornfield, bean field, and then there's a wood line that just kind of surrounds it on 2.5 sides. So we only own 6 acres, and we only have to maintain the 6 acres, but
we're surrounded by...
It feels like we have 106.
Yeah. in the houses, there's people close by, but you're not on top of each other. So, like, if something were to happen, we've got neighbors, like...
I mean, the closest neighbor is at least
3 acres
1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least 1,000 feet
So,
away.
I don't know. It just kind of felt like home.
Yeah.
Like, you walking onto it, it felt like home. Like, you could imagine yourself watching sunset on your back porch or a sunrise on your back porch, sunset on your front porch. So, so I guess the next one that's good to talk about is, so gravel, concrete, blacktop as far as your driveway. We are going with gravel. Why?
Yeah.
Why are we choosing gravel?
It's cheap.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a lot of concrete trucks and delivery trucks driving down here during the construction. So as of right now, you can only do gravel unless you want to just pay thousands for concrete or blacktop just to have it ruined.
Yeah.
So
we might
in the future, I mean, blacktop's nice because it is much cheaper than concrete, but you do have to maintain your blacktop a lot more. You have to seal it every 5 years or so to keep its life.
We had blacktop at our old house. We had concrete and blacktop.
We had a 600-foot blacktop driveway.
We sealed it twice,
and I liked it. I think blacktop looks sharp, nicer than concrete.
Yeah.
But I think what we're gonna do is starting from the house and working our way up to the street. Whenever I get some money, this is after the house is done, I'll just kind of do 40 feet at a time and work our way up the driveway till we get to the street someday when I'm old.
Okay,
and I'll start back over with all the concrete.
It's cheap and it's easy access and doesn't take a long time to get in. Yep. You want to pick one?
Oh, let's see. The hardest thing so far has been waiting. Yeah. You've heard hurry up and wait. This is like very much hurry up and wait. You have so many moving parts. You've got the soil scientist, the septic designer, septic installer, surveyors, architects, subcontractors, the bank, and for reference, today is the 13th of October. We're gonna dig our first hole for the actual house on the 18th of October. I made my first phone call to the first person involved in construction of the home and the septic on April.
Before we closed.
Like April 5th, I think.
We didn't close until
this was
May
before we
25th.
Put an offer in.
Yeah, like we hadn't put an offer or anything in.
But I knew we were going to get it because it had sat for so long. The property did. But,
that's a story for another time.
That's 27 weeks, 28 weeks. And that's just to get a building permit, a septic permit, and your loan. 28 weeks. That's we have spent half a year just to get a few pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Which was very discouraging at times because it felt like you weren't moving because you finally get this paper to this guy and then he takes our kid just farted. But you get this paper to this guy so he can do his job, and the next guy can't do his job until that guy gets his job done. And so it's constantly, you sprint for a day to get everybody what they need, and then you wait for 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 weeks, and constantly calling, hey, are you done yet? Yeah. Hey, what's the update? What's the status? And
I think the hardest part is still waiting. I'll have a hand in some really small things in the actual construction of the house, but my role really comes into the design, so like the finishes. And so for me, it's really hard because we're designing it. It's my dream house for all intents and purposes. And so trying to work with an imaginary budget because we don't really have a realistic idea of how much will be accounted for finishes until that last draw comes out. And so I can start to look at things. I've spent several days looking at things. tile, cabinets, countertops, getting an idea for what we want so that I can, when it's time to order, we can kind of just go ahead and like press, like send it kind of a thing. And I can't really do a lot because it's not time to order yet. And it won't be for several months. So like I get excited about it and then I look at it and then I plan it and then I get bummed again because
can't do anything about it.
Because I can't do anything. And then I get discouraged because
that's
like flooring is really expensive and our initial flooring option is not going to happen. And so like having to account for, it's like 1,000 square feet of flooring that I now have to account for in a very specific budget. And so that can be kind of tricky to do.
I like this. It kind of goes with that is who gets the most say in finishes, and she pretty much gets all the say in how the finish work is done, but I'm the one that's kind of managing the books on this and managing the numbers. So I kind of look at it like this: she can put diamond baseboards in all along the house, but then we're gonna have cardboard countertops. You know what I mean? Like, we've got a certain amount of money, and we don't really know exactly how much that's gonna shake out to be.
So I mean, it's kind of both of us.
As far as design is concerned,
design is me, but I have to pick. Preference. Yeah, he doesn't really care, and I don't have like I don't know. I don't have super girly taste, so it's not gonna look like.
Yep.
A man doesn't live there, so.
Man doesn't live there. The most fun part so far for me is going to be probably the least fun part so far for her, which is
no, that we've already done.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Things popping up throughout this project that make you have to change what you're gonna do in your house. Design changes, structural changes that completely change the way you're viewing, because there's certain things that you build your house around design wise based on certain structural aspects, and these things change, some for the good and some for the annoyance.
Yeah, like we were gonna have exposed columns in the kitchen, and that's not happening anymore. Because we thought we had to. But that design itself changed 3 times before the columns were even taken out.
Yeah.
Because I had planned this beautiful kitchen, and then he was like, we gotta have columns, so then I redid it, and then I was like, well, that's not gonna look right, so then I redid it again, and it was like a whole thing. So that was frustrating. Yeah. And now we don't have to worry about it, so that's great. The most fun part for me, I got to learn how to, do you say ride or drive a skid steer?
Operate.
I got to learn how to operate a skid steer, and that's really fun because I don't get to do like heavy machinery. He does at his day job, and so that's been really fun. So I got to and when I say operate it, I didn't just get on and ride it around. I definitely rode it around, but
she moved dirt.
I got to move dirt, which is pretty cool. I got to move it and drop it, and
she's gonna crap her pants when she gets on a scissor lift. So
I don't know if I'm going to be doing that.
She's gonna be painting the ceilings. She doesn't know that they're 18-foot ceilings.
No, so. I'm not painting ceilings. Anyways,
but
I'll paint the rest of the house.
Another fun thing. This sounds trivial, but when it comes to doing a driveway, what is now currently the highest point of our property is the driveway. Because our driveway goes on my mirror, because I'm a coach, so I know how to mirror. You're standing at the house, all right? The driveway comes down, and then it turns. Now, Emily's the house. So the driveway comes down, and at the very end, after 700 feet, it turns and goes right into the corner of the house to where we're going to have kind of like a pull-off, where it's like an L-shaped parking lot almost.
She's listening.
And, you start... That was a valley before where that driveway is, so I had to go in. And we had to, with a skid steer, me and my friend Nathan dug a pond. It took about 18 hours.
They've heard about it. It's the borrow pit.
Yeah, the borrow pit. We borrowed some dirt. And then I was hauling dirt up to the driveway. And we built that up. Then we put the geomat down. We've talked about all this. Then we put the big rocks down. And then what I think was a really fun part was when I was able to tell the guy that hauls all my gravel, bring in the fours, which is slightly smaller rock. They're about, when you do this game right here, where I got you, a little bit smaller than the hole that I make right there with my hand. They're not quite finished gravel, but it's easier to walk on. And when I finally was able to tell him, go ahead and tailgate that all the way back, the driveway. I want to make it look more finished. And he finally drove over there, and I was able to stand at the front and look down a 700-foot driveway.
It was awesome.
That looks clean.
Like we could drive up to the property, which is really cool. Like all the way up to the house. So that doesn't exist yet, but it will soon.
That was a really cool moment.
Yeah, that was neat, I think, for both of us. Plans for the girls' room. So we have 2 rooms upstairs.
It will have 4 walls with drywall.
Stop. One room is going to be a designated playroom.
Yeah.
And the other room, the girls are going to share forever. They'll share. They're 3 years apart. My sister and I didn't. We shared a room, then we didn't. But my sister slept in my room all the time, anyways. And then we moved out of our house that we grew up in, and both the apartments and the condo we lived in, we shared a room. So I have always shared a room. So my girls are just gonna share a room. So they'll room share, and Macy has specifically asked for a rainbow bedroom. So we're going to do something really cute and really fun with rainbows. I have some really fun ideas in my head, and that kind of stuff will probably happen after we move in, because that's kind of where I'll take the reins, and I'll do, like, if I decide to do a mural or wallpaper or something like that, that's where I get to come in. So I'm really excited. So I think we're going to do neutral rainbows. We got some bedding from Target, and velvet for the playroom. It's going to be blue, yellow, and pink. And we got blue velvet curtains from IKEA that are gorgeous. So I'm really excited about that. But going into that is
very excited.
What, like, if our family grows, as our family grows, what do we intend? What is our plan? Because there's only 2 rooms upstairs, and I think we want more kiddos. I want more kiddos, but that's a conversation for another time. So if we have more kids,
there's a few options.
My plan would be, I guess it would depend on what gender they are, if they're a boy or a girl, but we have a landing upstairs that could be converted into a playroom, and then that playroom space would then just become another bedroom, really. And if we had, 3 girls and 1 boy, then we would probably have to start talking about adding on a room. And in that case, we have several options that we could look into.
Yeah, we do have options.
The pros of being married
the big thing,
construction.
The easiest way to go about that without losing any space, because you could start to frame into the garage, but you don't really want to do that, because then you're going to run out of garage.
Yeah.
And it is a pole barn house, so the shop is like, it's not the centerpiece, but it is the centerpiece because it's a barn. So you pretty much do have to add on to the back, and the septic tank is about 30 feet behind the house, so you have to be strategic where you add on.
Yeah. There's a couple ideas that we could get creative and figure it out. So we'll just probably cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yep.
Plans for acreage. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Keep it mowed. I'm going to enlarge our pond. Right now it's about 50 feet by 40 feet. I'd like to get it closer to 80 feet by 60 feet. It'll do 3 things. It'll minimize the amount of space that we have to mow, which is a big deal. It will make our pond look a lot better, being that big. But 80 by 60 is a good size, because we'll be able to stock it with some fish without having our pond kind of overtake our property size-wise.
Yep. And we plan to basically I call it a mini farm. We do plan to uh, do a lot of our own produce and hopefully animals as well. Definitely chickens. But in that involves trees. And if we have a big enough pond, we can put pretty much all of our like fruit trees that we would put on the property around that, and they would get irrigated underground by the pond. So we really wouldn't have to worry about that kind of thing, which is really cool. So yeah, I mean, we're hoping someday in the future when money allows, we'll hopefully have animals, which will help with keeping the grass lowered. Another barn for the animals. We've got 2 big dogs, so they're going to have their own run, which will probably be shared with chickens because one of our dogs is a livestock guard dog by nature. So yeah, really just a mini farm. We want to be able to live off our land and enjoy it. So we'll have good living space. And I guess that would kind of go with what I'm most excited for. Just being able to like host our family and like our friends. We'll have such a big space that like holidays will be really fun because we'll be able to host holidays comfortably. I'm really, really excited. We're going to homeschool, so I'm really excited to raise the girls in that kind of environment and to use our land for learning, stuff like that. So I'm really excited to the caveat to this question was that we can't say everything.
What do you mean?
Because I'm excited for a lot of things, so I'm not allowed to say like, what are you most excited for? Everything.
What are we most excited for? Cool.
So yeah. I'm most excited to raise the girls on land, and to make something out of it, and eventually, like this could be their inheritance someday, like and so to think that if we do it right, that this could potentially be in our family for a long time. Is really special. So
you have to make sure the house is built right so that it can be in the family for a long time.
Well, so not just the house, but the land.
That's why we're taking such careful steps building this, because I don't want it to be something that falls apart in 20 years. Mm-hmm. It's something that needs to be able to be as low maintenance as possible and as self-sufficient as possible. Mm-hmm. I am most excited for 2 things. One, I am excited to build I call it a mezzanine. Common folk call it a loft.
It's a loft.
But I have been basically saying it's kind of like building a deck inside your house. Mm-hmm. And that's what I do, is build decks. So kind of cool to build an interior deck. And then I'm excited for 3 things. I'm also excited for the spiral slide that I'm going to put in off of the mezzanine that spirals down into the living room. And if you agree with me that I should put an adult-rated and kid-rated spiral slide off of our mezzanine into the living room, you should tell her that that's a good idea, because I guess
we'll do a poll.
We'll do a poll. Sweet, not a poll.
Yeah, you can do a poll. No. Like on Instagram, like you can do a poll. Like, like you can say, should we build a slide, and they can vote yes or no.
Yeah, I'm not up to date on that. I thought she meant like a fireman's poll, and I'm like, that's
not
dangerous.
Not a chance.
But yeah, we're gonna do a spiral slide. It's gonna be pretty sweet. You can come on over, slide down the slide a couple times. But think about it. You're upstairs. Someone's in the bathroom. You gotta go to the bathroom. You don't want to be running down the steps because it's going to be moving some stuff around while you're running. Just slide down the slide. No big deal.
No, we're not having a slide. And you can weigh in.
Yeah.
In the comments. My
other thing I'm super excited for is let's see, about 14 weeks ago, I buzzed my hair and pretty much completely shaved my beard. I shaved my beard, actually. I was completely baby-faced.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, remember? Because it got really hot that one week, and so I Shaved
Oh,
it. So
that's
yeah,
right.
okay. So I was buzz haired, clean shaven, which is the first time in a long time that I've been
I'm not gonna let this happen.
And
This is not
I
happening.
vowed that I would not cut my hair or my beard, with the exception of cleaning up my mustache, as needed, until we move into our house. So maybe by the time we move in, I'll have some pretty long hair because I'm dark hair and I have a black headboard, but it's starting to really grow out.
More
This
of
is
his
the
sprays are
longest I've
showing,
had.
though.
Yeah, this is the longest I've had it in a long time, and it's gonna be pretty sweet. And if it gets long enough, probably cut it off and give it to Locks of Love, because
That's it. He's trying to guilt me into being okay with him
no,
kind of
it's a
making
good,
his hair
it's a
long
good thing.
so that he can cut it for Locks of Love, which is
Yeah.
not what will happen because he's too lazy and he will
Yeah,
get sick of it and he
super
will
lazy.
and he
I
will
don't- I
with
will
your
get
I'm not
irritated.
talking about I'm
I
talking
will
about
get
your
irritated
hair
with
care.
it.
He'll get annoyed and he'll be too
Yeah.
lazy to go anywhere, and so he'll just cut it in the garage. I'm telling you, that's exactly what will happen. And I promise you, I can't do it. It's not happening.
I might never
Okay.
cut my beard again.
He really loves Duck Dynasty, so he just really wants to be the Robertsons.
That would be pretty
He
sweet.
wants to
'Cause
look like
it gets
Phil.
to a certain length where you don't even have to clean up your neck because it just hides it.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Well, that's all our questions. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
We're gonna build a house. Show you some pictures. Start Monday the 18th.
Yeah, we'll have
Allegedly.
fun updates coming
Next
next week,
week.
like starting next week. So,
And next weekend we're doing the plumbing.
yeah, which is fun.
Pretty pumped for that. It was supposed to be in 2 weekends, but things got moved around, and so we're gonna bump everything up a week.
Yeah.
So
I
hopefully
can't
it all
wait.
works out.
Which there's gonna be a lot. Like even after we move in and post build, there's gonna be a lot to show because we'll still be doing like all the fun touches that
yeah.
I want to do. Those won't happen right away because they're not a necessity, and so we'll allocate as much of our loan to all the necessities, and then like fun paint jobs or like new projects. Like his office won't really look like an office space at first.
Might not even have drywall on it.
But I've got some fun plans up my sleeve for it that he doesn't know about. So I'm going to surprise him.
Nah.
Yeah, he doesn't think that's going to happen, but it is. I've got
Maybe.
ideas in my head.
We'll be lucky to have a filing cabinet in there.
And then we're getting a wood burning stove. I can't have a gas range, which devastated me.
We don't get natural gas out there.
So we're getting a wood burning stove, so that'll be fun.
We could do propane, but I don't want to have more propane than necessary because the propane prices fluctuate more than electric prices. So it's a long term
Say hi.
thing. Hey kid, star of the show.
Who's that? So, yeah.
Yep.
If you have more questions, you can put them down below.
Don't ask me.
We'll do another Q&A in a few months.
Maybe.
You like it more than you want to let it on.
Yep.
He likes to talk about all the things that we're doing. So any chance that he gets to just
Yep.
put it all out there.
Next time you see me, I'll be a really broke man.
Oh, we are not made of money. We worked very, very hard for this. So we will probably do another video at some point if I can rope him into it, talking kind of a little, not like our specific financials, but like some of like how we went about a lot of this. He has a lot of wisdom when it comes to that. Travis is very good with money, and so I'm working on it, but he's very good with money, and so he has a lot of wisdom where that is concerned as far as like getting ourselves set up in such a way that just smart spending and the time to get a loan and what kind of loan and how much and all of that. We're not frivolous people, and a lot of this stuff, like, we might have to sacrifice some quality at first and then in a few years put in better stuff, but at the end of the day, we're going to be in the house that we'll be in, hopefully through retirement. You know, like, this is it, unless we get called elsewhere for whatever reason. So we have time, which is awesome.
Building a house.
Yeah. So.
Building a pole barn house. Don't call it a barn dominium. That's kind of dumb. I don't like that word.
What?
She knows that. It's a mezzanine, not a loft.
It's a loft.
Common folk.
No, mezzanines are where you sit. The upper mezzanine is like where you sit. This is a loft. They're different.
Whatever you say there, chap.
Chap! Is that a new name?
Yep.
You'll hear all kinds of names, I'm sure. He calls me Jim, James, Gertie, Gertrude.
Yep.
So.
Can't wait. Emily's going to be doing her little filming deal while we're on site. Going around asking everybody what's going on that day and getting involved. And you guys are going to come across a man named Micah.
Oh, Micah's fun. He's really fun.
He's an interesting fella.
I've got family members who are wanting to get in on stuff. So once the walls and concrete are in, they'll be like, they might come out. So you might see some of them pop in. You'll get to know Scott.
Oh yeah.
Scotty Boyd, his dad. He's really fun.
If he allows you to film him.
You'll probably just see snapshots of him. He probably won't let me film him.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He likes to give pop lessons, so maybe I can. So, but these videos.
He doesn't want to be on film because he doesn't want the NSA to track him.
They already do. If you have a smartphone or an email,
yep,
they're already tracking you.
But
they're probably watching us right now.
I'm sure you'll be. Hi NSA.
What's up?
I'm sure you'll be meeting a lot of interesting people that will contribute to this house.
Yeah.
It'll be sweet.
All friends and family for the most part. I mean, we really haven't contracted anybody out other than like Pete and the Amish company who's doing the build.
Yeah. There's 2 subcontractors and 3 if you include Micah.
Micah's
that's
a friend
different.
though.
It's a little different.
He works, his day job is the same is for the same company as Travis's day job. So he's plumbing, he's doing our plumbing, but that's what he does regularly. But they work for the same company and they grew up in the same town. So
he calls our plumbing
poopy pipes. Yeah, poopy pipes. We can lay our
have
poopy
the
pipes.
poopy pipes in.
So, yeah, we'll probably have to start a YouTube channel because this video is too long to put on Instagram. So I'm going to have to throw it on YouTube. So look for us there.
Oh, well. How many peace signs do you think we've thrown up?
I don't know. We've done that a lot. So, all right.
We're cool, aren't we?
Yeah, hopefully these will get better. We don't have like a proper way to say hello or peace out.
All right, we're hanging up.
Later.